Our next guest, our next speaker, it's the first time we've ever done anything AI at the UKMC. For me, it'd probably be the first AI presentation I've ever seen. But this guy has done some big presentations, some big bashes. He's a fantastic guy, he's a really good friend, and I know he's going to teach all you guys about where AI fits into your everyday mortgage planning. So ladies and gents, put your hands together please for Ifthikar Mohamed.
Hello, very good afternoon to everybody. Let me start off by asking you all a question. How has your last few weeks been? So the war broke out in the Middle East. The rates started to increase, the swap rates started to go up. When the swap rates started to go up, obviously the interest rates started to go up. Lenders started to pull out rates, and lenders started to increase rates. And the brokers pressed the panic button. That's what happened. And as a result, brokers had to start calling customers saying, look, rates are increasing. Then customers started calling brokers saying, can you submit my application? But at the same time, as a broker, you need to give advice. You can't just submit an application, you need to give advice. And all of that has sort of resulted in a lot of pressure on the mortgage brokers. So that's what happened. So with all this pressure, how many applications can you submit for a day? On average, based on our statistics, brokers submit about 5 cases, that too compromising a little bit of compliance. But there is a mortgage broker who sat there very silently in a corner. They can do up to 15 applications without compromising on compliance. And that's the power of AI. And that's what AI is doing in the mortgage space today. And we have stats to prove that as well. So that's what's happening in the industry. So the main question, let's get the elephant out of the room first. Is AI going to replace mortgage brokers? Everybody keeps asking this question all the time. The answer, AI won't replace mortgage brokers, but the broker who uses AI will replace you. I'm sure every one of you have heard this before. But let's look at some statistics that support this argument. So I work, let's take a smaller firm. I work with this lady, Adele. She does, when I met her about 1.5 years ago, she did about 20 cases a month alone, right, all by herself. She told me, look, I'm looking at getting an admin. So I told her, look, why don't we try some AI stuff, see how it works. If it doesn't work, then you get the admin. She told me in the month of January, she's done 45 applications and she still doesn't have an admin. And that's what AI is doing. But if you take a slightly bigger firm, I work with another client called Mo. Mo used to have 2 admin, 2 advisors. They used to do about 30 cases a month. So it's like a 1-for-1 ratio. Today, Mo has 7 advisors working under him, and he only has 2 admin. The difference is AI. So the ratios are changing. So silently, people are doing this change. So we are seeing this happen in the real world now. So it's no longer a concept, right? It is happening. So a little bit about me. I'm Ifthikar. My background, I'm a chartered accountant, right? So you might wonder what I'm doing here today, right? I'm a chartered accountant. You all call us the bean counters. That's what you call us, right? So 10 years ago, I've been a chartered accountant for the last almost 18 years now. 10 years ago, we decided to start mortgages. I used to hate having to do the paperwork in the accounting space. I thought it's going to be better. Guess what? It was worse, right? The amount of stuff that mortgage brokers have to do is something else. But anyway, I enjoyed the job because I used to talk to a lot of clients, because I felt like I was helping them. I used to do about 5-7 cases sometimes a week. But obviously I'm managing 2 jobs now, right? Because I'm an accountant as well. That's still the biggest part of our business. So while I was doing that, I thought, okay, it's high time I got an admin. So I recruited an admin at the time, probably paying about 25,000. Salaries were a little lesser at that time, thinking it'll help. But I had to deal with issues like absenteeism, sick pay, and also things like, rate changes. They pack up at 5 o'clock and
I still had to do the application. So I was wondering to myself whether I was still doing the right thing, right? Because obviously I didn't feel like my work had reduced, right? So that's when I thought I need to do something. I need to do something different, and that's why I got into this space. But with AI, one thing I want you to remember is I'm a chartered accountant, I'm a mortgage broker, but I am not a developer. I do not know coding, right? So if I can do it, I think everyone who sat here can do it. My business partner is there, he'll vouch for this. If my laptop's not working, I will cry for help, right? That used to be me, right? So if I can do it, I don't see why you can't, right? That's what I'm trying to say today. So it's not difficult, and I'll show you my story today, how I've used it, and I'll give you some easy steps that where you can try it as well. That's the whole purpose of today, right? So that's what I'll do. But today, again, we have a broker firm. We have 16 advisors, looking at about 20 by the end of next quarter. We have 5 admin, right? And if you ask me what my admin is doing, most of the guys are doing testing on the tools that we develop. That's what they do. Obviously, there's a little bit of admin they do, but that's what we do today, right? So again, you can start small and you can progress, right? That's the idea. So let's put the business lens on, because all of you today are like businessmen, directly or indirectly. So I use AI for 3 things today. One is to increase income. Obviously, all of us like to have some extra money. The other one is to reduce cost, and the other one is to save time. So if we do not tick any boxes that cover these areas, I do not touch it. So that's my first tick I need to do. So if something doesn't give me any additional income, I won't touch it. So let me give you some examples on how mortgage brokers can increase their income. Today, obviously I've built a little system that we use. So as in our system, we send out a link to a customer, and the customer can fill not a fact find, but they fill a form which connects to open banking, which connects to credit reference agencies, and which also connects to, we do the ID verification as well. And so we download all their bank statements, we do all that, and that only takes 8 minutes. Now, what has that got to do with income is probably what you're thinking, right? That customer is satisfied with the service he's getting. And we know as mortgage brokers, the best referrals that we can get is from your customer. So they go and they tell their friends, look, I'm not spending hours doing this. And that has increased a massive amount of income for our company, just by doing that. So that's one of the things I've done to increase the income in our business. Again, I'm happy to share some of my ideas, and if anybody else wants any more information after this session. And the next thing I'm looking at is cost. So cost is, again, that's the one that pulls brokers down, because obviously, like I said, admin is expensive. Again, I'll give you an example. I work with a lady called Sarah. With her, they have 2 advisors. And when I spoke to her first, she had 5 admin under her, working under her, because she does a lot of complex transactions. She had 5 admin. But today, she only has 1 admin. And that saves her, if you look at her wage bill, it saves her easily £100,000. But for her to set up AI, it did not even cost her 10%. Because a lot of the time, what I get from some of the mortgage brokers is they say, oh, it's expensive. But when you say it's expensive, I ask, what do you mean? They say, oh, it's £100, it's £200. But you need to see the benefit. And if you look at this example, again, I'm bringing real examples because we are working with these people today. You see the benefit. And that's what AI is doing. Again, that's one of the tests I have. Then more time. Do you know where I used to spend most of my time during the day? Most of my time was spent on reading emails. I used to read emails. I used to get about 250, 300 emails. Obviously, I've got multiple businesses as well. For that used to take me about 2 hours of my time. Today, 10 minutes. That's what AI has done to me, right? So we are chatting here at this conference. Obviously, I have a team. If the rate changes now, let's say X Bank decides to change the rate, I get an email, but the whole of my team already knows that because it automatically diverts my email to the team. So I program AI to answer those emails. So 80% of my emails today is answered by AI. So I tell people, right, I wake up to a zero inbox. I used to be a person who used to clear my inbox in the night. And when I come in the morning, I got 25 emails, right? So I don't have that anymore because AI will answer those questions. But what about that balance 20%? Obviously, we are advisors, right? So AI sometimes can't give advice. So for that email, it'll draft an email for me that says it's zero inbox. It drafts the email and saves it under the draft. So if that looks at my old emails that I had, if there's something similar, it looks at that knowledge and it answers that email. So that's what it does. So that's really saved me time. So those are the things I sort of look at when it comes to that. Again, today, to save time, we are working with solicitor firms as well. Sometimes you do a good job with mortgage advisors. As a mortgage advisor, you get an offer out in a day or two if you're lucky, and it goes to solicitors. There can be delays, right? So we are working with the system with solicitors where we share information, and that has made the process faster as well. So that's ways of saving time. If you get a good service from the solicitor, because quite often customers ask you, recommend a solicitor, and you recommend a solicitor. And if the solicitor is bad, who's getting the blame? You, because you recommended the solicitor, right? So we've found ways to work like that. So these are some of the examples that I use in real life, right? Now I'm going to talk about one of the biggest opportunities here, right? Obviously, we spoke about increasing revenue. Does anybody know what SEO stands for? Right. I think that term has changed. It's no longer search engine optimization. It's called search everywhere optimization. That's what it's called. Today, SEO has changed to GEO, and search everywhere optimization is the concept that's happening. So if you look at my business, again, I'm giving you all the practical stuff we do. If you take my mortgage firm, WS Mortgages. So we are in Google, we have a website, we are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, we are on every kind of social media that they have. Because today, people don't go to Google and ask the question, mortgage brokers near me. That used to be the question people used to ask. But today, people are very specific. I mean, I'm sure all of you can relate to this. You go and ask, who is the best mortgage broker for complex cases? In this example, I've used Borehamwood. I'm not sure that you can see the thing that's about us. In Borehamwood. So Google or Gemini, ChatGPT or whatever platform you use, because those are like search engines nowadays, right? People ask ChatGPT, people ask Claude, they ask all these platforms, right? They recommend names. They don't give you a list of websites. That's the past. That's the old SEO. Today they recommend names. And if you ask that question, which I'm put up there, our name is showing it's number 2, right? Even at that, it says they're well known for complex cases. It also says they are known for responsiveness. So these are the things that they pick up. So they look at your Google ratings. If you all have Trustpilot or any other platform, they look at those. It works on a concept called EEAT today. So if you all can get EEAT, you all will start getting new customers. So EEAT is pretty simple. It's experience. All of you all are experienced mortgage brokers who sat here, so we need to demonstrate that. Expertise, you need to show. In our case, complex cases, we've shown that. Authority, you have authority in the space. So you talk about a lot of things in various channels, and then Google sees that, ChatGPT sees that. Those are highlighted there. If people write some nice comments about you, you don't realize it, Gemini sees that. So that's what gives you authority, and then trust. Things like, don't underestimate things like your reviews that you get in genuine sort of places, Trustpilot, Google, free, right? Trustpilot has a free edition. Make use of that. So if that happens, you all are scoring on the EEAT boxes. Okay, I'm going to say something. Again, secret. In the month of January, I told this to Ivan when I met him as well. We submitted 20 applications which came from these LLM platforms. 20 applications. In the past, my biggest referrer was my customer who used to refer. But today, it's not the customer. It's these platforms. And most people blindly trust you. That's what happens. Because if ChatGPT says, go to WIS mortgages, some people just blindly trust you. So that's what you all need to work towards. And this is the biggest opportunity. The reason why I'm saying this is the biggest opportunity is because currently this is free. Remember when Facebook started, right? AdWords were free. It's no longer free. ChatGPT can't run for long because they're not a profit-making business, right? So they will have to make some money. So make use of it now. We are seeing the benefit of that. So in future, my biggest referrals used to be Rani, Akash, and Max. They're not going to be the biggest referrals. It's going to be this. So that's the opportunity you have out there. Don't miss out. Right, so let's move on to the next area. So I'm a strong advocate of this concept of 90-10. What I mean by 90-10 is, I believe 90% of what we do, AI can do it. I'm talking about the admin side of things. And there's a 10% which we can't outsource. I'll get into the detail. I'll give you another example. I met a lady at a conference like this. I came to the conference quite early that day because I just wanted to absorb everything what was happening. She was one of the first to come and we were just chatting. She was very quiet. But when I finished my speech, at the end of it, there are a few people who came and spoke to me. She was quietly sat there until I finished my speech. And she came up to me and said, I need your help. I said, what do you need my help on? And she goes, I need your help on everything. She lives around Birmingham area. I was going for another conference like this. I said, look, the day before I'll come and see you because I'm coming the night before anyway. I'm going to stay the night before, so I'll come. So I went to her place, but I said, I just want one thing from you. I just want you to draw your process map, right? Just draw the process map. So I turned up on the day. I'd allocated just an hour, thought it's an easy meeting, 1 hour. So when I went to her office, there were like posters all over. These flip charts, right? She'd written various things. She had posted all over the wall. I just asked, what is all that? And she goes, you want a process map, right? That's the process map. And I'm like, oh my God, I just got 1 hour. So we went on talking the whole afternoon, right? I was there. But what I realized at the end of that conversation was, actually, we were ticking boxes and saying what AI can take away. 90% of what we do, actually AI can take away today. I'm talking about the admin side, right? Because there's a 10% which you cannot outsource. And that's you. That's why your customers come to you. They come for hand-holding. They come for the emotional sort of attachments. And they come to get advice and, somebody to put their arms around them. That's what they come for you for. And again, you cannot outsource your advice. Again, I'll come to that, but you cannot outsource the advice. But again, it's a pursuit. We're pursuing to get 90% done by AI, and people are working on that. Right, so let's go to the next area. So where to start? Let's look at the practical side, right? All these, it might sound like a concept. Remember, I'm an on-code person. I'm not a developer, and I'm going to tell you what I would do to start. Again, I've tried this with a few people. It has worked. Yes, it starts here. There are quite a few lenders out there who'll give you a free book today. Go and take one of that. That's where you need to start. Write down all your frustrations. Am I waiting? I don't like waiting 45 minutes for a solicitor to pick up the phone. I don't want to wait for a BDM to call me after 45 minutes. Those are your frustrations. Your repetitive task, going through bank statements, right? You work with a self-employed client, they might have 70 pages worth of bank statements. Personal as well, sometimes they mix it up as well, right? So let's not go there. But put all those things that frustrate you and the repetitive stuff that you do. Once you've done that, just give yourself 7 days. Don't take longer than that because you'll never get this done, right? We've tried this before. I'm telling you through experience, just give yourself 7 days. So once you've done that, you also put down what you want to achieve in the next year, the next 2 years, and the next 5 years. And again, I'm not a big advocate telling people to go and buy tools, right? But I want you all to invest on something like ChatGPT, right? Again, it's a personal choice. ChatGPT, Gemini, you got Claude, there's so many LLMs out there. So go create your own GPT and put all your frustrations down there, your objectives, because I'm saying write it in the book first because you might cut and chop, right? And you might add more things as well. Bring it there. And it'll give you a plan of what you want to achieve, but break it down, right? Because again, depending on the size of the organization, break it down by marketing, say HR if you're recruiting, finance, so compliance, there's so many areas, right? Because it can help you in all those areas. So put those, tell ChatGPT or whatever platform you use to break it down by that. And today, using that, I have actually created my thought partner. So I've got business partners, one of them sitting in the crowd here, but they don't know I have a thought partner as well, right? So I talk to my thought partner. It tells me what I'm supposed to do today, right? If I'm not happy, I challenge it. Don't accept everything it does tell you, right? But challenge it, right? Say, nope, I don't think this is possible. Let's come up with an alternative plan. It'll tell you. So it gives me ideas on what to do. So once you have those objectives set up, that's when you need to start looking at tools. A lot of people come and say, okay, what tool can I buy for this? What tool can I buy for that? I always tell people, don't worry about the tools. Just see what you want to achieve first. Tools always come next, right? So we'll go into a little bit more detail on that. I would say that the starting point is to get LLM, right? Again, it's 20 pounds, right? I think everybody charges around the same today. Just invest some money. It really depends on your personal preferences, but I'll give you mine as well, right? What I use and what I think. I use all of these, but at the same time, I have my favorite, right? I'll tell you about that as well. So if you look at something, if you're doing a lot of research, Perplexity is probably what works for you. If you are doing a lot of general stuff, right? You're getting content ideas or get help to write letters, ChatGPT is quite helpful. I think Claude has become a little popular. Again, I come back to Claude recently. That's quite helpful as well. But my favorite, okay, I'll touch on Claude as well because Claude helps you organize certain things like your files and things like that. So it's done a lot of improvement because they've introduced something called, I think Cowork, I think it's called, right? It's pretty good. I use it as well. I can't remember the exact name. I think it's called Cowork. So it's pretty good, right? But my favorite is Gemini, Google Gemini. That's my favorite. Why? Because Gemini has a whole ecosystem. All of these other platforms, they buy information from Google because they're the ones who has all the information, right? So that's one reason. But because they have a whole ecosystem, right? I'll show you how I use it as well. So if I get a lead overnight that comes through my website today, that lead goes to a Google Sheet, right? So, on that, all the list, there'll be a list down. So from that Google Sheet, there will be an email sent out to the customer saying, hi, thanks for your inquiry. Now, I'm not involved, right? This is an AI agent or your AI employee doing this, right? So all of this, again, is zero code, right? That's why I'm telling you this. The email goes out, and if somebody has referred that person, they will also get an email saying, thank you for referring, right? I'm not involved still. And what my AI will do today is it'll call the customer and say, you get leads, right? And some of these leads you can't work with. You just can't, right? You just have to say, sorry, I can't work with you, right? So 30 minutes on the call, sometimes the last minute, last minute they say that, you can't, we can't continue the call, right? So that's what it does. But with the AI agent, it helps you. But Google has all this. Plus it has things like Nano Banana for you to do, pictures. Then you can have, Google Veo, which does like movies as well, right? So small videos for you. So that's why I think Google is great, right? So that's that. And then you have communication, right? So with communication, there's a lot of things you can do today. Today I have AI calling a customer 6 months before their deal finishes, before the bank calls, and talk to the customer and book an appointment in my diary, right? So that's something that it does. I also have a chatbot on the website which will answer questions, general questions that customers have. So that makes things simple for them as well. And then meeting notes. This is a big thing for me. Today I go into a call and it tells me what questions to ask the customer because I no longer use generic tools like Zoom. I no longer use tools like Teams. I use a tool that's specifically for mortgage brokers. So we have those, at the end of the call, I have a fact find coming out on the other side. So that's as simple. And it tells me what questions to ask the customer. Because I once had a very embarrassing situation because I forgot to ask a customer a question. And I had to call them back and say, look, I forgot to ask, do you get a bonus? He kept silent for 2 seconds. And he turned around and said, isn't that basic? And that was the last time I heard from that customer. And it was a £1 million loan, right? So you lost the customer. So that's when I thought you need to have a better system. So that's with the meeting notes. Sorry, I'm running out of time, but I need to touch on this. Compliance, right? So a lot of people ask me whether this is safe to use. I'll be careful. I've spoken to FCA around this many times, but FCA is okay for you to use technology. This is my understanding. Please check with your compliance as well. FCA is okay for you to use technology, provided you give the advice. Remember, you're the advice. You're that 10%. FCA is also okay if there's no breach in GDPR regulations, right? So I've heard brokers say, put a credit file on ChatGPT and it gives me answers, right? Don't ever do that because they use it for training and monitoring purposes, right? So you don't want to, be flagged somewhere else. Don't do that. But also very importantly, if you're using a partner for your tech, just make sure they don't use that, right? So you might not use it, but they might use that, right? So ask questions like that. So that's quite important in terms of trust, right? Always remember you're still the advisor. Advice has to come from you. Today there is systems based on criteria and based on what the customer tells you, it can find products for you. And it'll tell you can recommend this product to the customer, right? But you are responsible for the advice. So don't just blindly blast that onto the customer. So it's very important that you follow those steps. So the future, AI won't replace mortgage brokers, but it will refine them. I'll take an example. My son's 16-year-old, he's doing his GCSEs in 3 weeks' time or 6 weeks' time. He woke up to Alexa in the house. He asks questions from Alexa, and he tells me he wants to be a mortgage broker. So when he comes to this space, AI, he's born with AI. So he knows how to use AI. He won't like to do the way that we like doing stuff. They are native AI users. So you're going to have challenges from people like that. And also AI today is not expensive, right? It's definitely not expensive. So it's affordable for a lot of firms. So if you don't do it, somebody else will do it and you will miss out. So that's something that you have to work on. Okay, sorry, I'm really running out of time, right? But I'm happy sorry about that. I'm happy to help all of you all. I'm putting my contact details here. There should be a QR code. If you want, you can message AI Desk on my LinkedIn. I'm sure I'm connected to quite a lot of you all as well. Or obviously I'll be around here. You can speak to me after this session as well. But I am starting a small group of mortgage brokers who are very keen on AI, right? Because there are some products I'm sort of developing, which I'll give you all to use as well, right? And help people out who are struggling. If somebody wants help with setting up an AI agent, I'm sure we can help you all. So if you all want to be a part of that network as well, you can still use the same thing and type network. I'll be more than happy to have you all in the group. But you need to be committed though, right? Because it's not somewhere we charge people fees, but we need your feedback. And obviously we'll give you a lot of tools that you can use for free. That's the whole idea. So if you are interested in joining that, please type the word network as well. So thank you very much for listening to me. I hope you got something out of it. And like I said, I'll be around if there's anything else that you all want to know. Thank you very much for your time.